how I guess I've known about this truth for a long time. I don't know how long you've known about this and what actually got you into this. But
It was about 2015. I came across it, and like anybody else, ridiculed it, mocked the people that suggested I look into it, and here we are, 5 years, 6 years later, where I'm known as the Flat Earth guy, Flat Earth Dave. So,
right.
there you
Well,
go.
so do you basically do these calls to show people you have like a presentation that you essentially we can just get out to different platforms to get the word out, kind of a thing?
Well, I don't really do a presentation. I talk to people about, I like talking to people that think the Earth is a globe, and I ask them why. So
Right.
when they come up with whatever they think is a reason, we go over it. Like, if they said, well, photos of Earth, right? Photos of Earth, and then I say, well, if you look, there are no photos of Earth. The only people that think there's photos of Earth are people that believe in the globe. NASA even admits that they're Photoshopped. Right.
They have to be CGI. Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
So I mean, I have so much evidence. I mean, first of all, I mean, if they what do they say? Curvature is 8 inch per mile squared, according to NASA. Is that
Well,
right?
so it's not just NASA. The curvature formula, excuse me, is about
Okay.
8 inches per mile squared. Right. But the problem with that is if you go over like I think 6,000 miles, um, if you go over like 6,000 miles, that formula falls apart, right? So because it turns into a parabola, but we don't need it. We only need it for a couple hundred miles, 10 miles, there should be a 66-foot feet of curvature, but there's not, and then for the people that debunk the the um the curvature formula, say it doesn't work, you're using the wrong formula, we can look and see where's my curvature formula? There it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We can look and compare it to these other formulas, and it's incredibly accurate under anything under 1,000 miles. So, it's at 100 miles, there's over a mile of curvature. At 10 miles, there's 66 feet of curvature. And that supposedly, but it's not there. We've tested it, we've measured it, we've scientifically proved it doesn't exist. And the ballers at this point have resorted to saying, well, it refracts up, like we're looking at an image of something that we know is a certain distance away,
Right.
and it should be behind curvature. Their argument is like, for this example, this is called the black swan. We can see the surface of the water far beyond this, right? When in fact there should be 59 feet of curvature at this rig right here, but we can see the water surface. So their argument is, well, the rig is refracting up, and then behind that, the Earth is the water is refracting up. It's like it forgets to refract everything in the middle. It's the dumbest stuff ever, and
Right.
there are no globe proofs. That's why I offer 3 Bitcoins for 1 proof of the globe.
Yeah. I don't see any evidence of any curvature. Right.
Right.
So, and then for me, whenever I fly, I've asked pilots. After the flight, I wait to be the last one, and I say, "Hey, have you guys? Do you guys ever have to account for any curvature?" And they say, "No." It's so they've actually told me that they know it's a flat plane.
Right.
They actually knows they knows up a little bit.
Well, yeah, well, that's just to fly the plane, but they don't nose down, and
right.
Gyros on the plane shouldn't precess. If they go down, the gyro should stay level from where they took off. That's how gyros work, and they don't, right? And then when you look on an airplane, if you look out, the windows on both sides, you'll see the horizon at your eye level on both of them. Comes right over eye level, but that horizon should be like almost 80,000 feet below you. 80,000 feet. Okay. Because at that height, the drop is 242 miles. It's just ridiculous. And they just go on and on believing it.
Yeah, it has to, if it rises to eye level, no matter how high or low you are, whether you're at the beach or flying, then that should
Right.
tell you something. There's got to be some sort of curvature, and for for me, I'm able to kind of connect the dots with these Agenda 21 climate change things, because for me it's about scarcity. Like if they can show, like on a globe, there's only so much land, right? And then there's only so many resources, and we're just this ball hurling through space,
Right.
and kind of we get hit by an asteroid, solar flares, all these dangers, and we have no protection. We're just this marble, and there's millions of other suns with other millions of planets.
Right.
We're just a speck in the universe, and we're not really special. We kind of evolved from monkeys, and just the Big Bang, and
When people say, photos of Earth, I say, which one do you like? Which one's your favorite? This is my favorite, the blue marble. I'm a blue marble guy. All right. Which one do you like? Because they're all made in Photoshop. And
yeah,
the best argument they have is, well, they didn't have Photoshop back in the 60s. Well, you're right, they painted those, right? These are paintings, and they're not even realistic paintings. I've seen paintings of people that you can't tell that you think they're photographs, but this is just a painting that you expect the world to look like.
and didn't Neil deGrasse Tyson say that it was a pear shaped, like an oblate spheroid? So why would
but the argument they have there is that that it's, even though it's a little bit, you wouldn't notice it from space, but the entire spinning Earth, if it was oblate, the spin would be wobbling. It's like having your tires out of alignment,
Yeah.
and we're spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, which is another impossibility. The whole idea of the spiral galaxy is just insane. I mean, we're corkscrewing through space at speeds that you can't even imagine, right?
Yeah.
Where the speed, we're spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. We're orbiting at 66,000 miles an hour.
Everything 66.
66,600 miles per hour, right? And then we're chasing the sun at over 500,000 miles per hour. Okay.
Right.
None of that makes any sense. I mean, this is, but you can't hear the sound right now. I'm having an issue with my sound, but this is going to go by at Mach 8.6. That's a hypersonic sled track, right? So we are orbiting 10 times faster than this. 10 times. You can't even see it. So we're orbiting 10 times faster. We're chasing the sun at 100 times faster, right? Corkscrewing, not straight lines, turning, right? Imagine you're holding a plate of water in a car going 100 miles an hour, and that car either speeds up, slows down, or takes a slight turn. That water is going to slosh all over the place, but then we see things like this, all right? You go into nature doesn't lie, men do.
Yep. Yeah. And you have the Polaris, the North Star. You look at the star trails, everything is rotating around Polaris. And what is there, over like 200 verses in the Bible that talk about Earth being stationary and set on its pillars, and of talk of a firmament, the waters above, waters below.
If you look at the Georgia Guidestones, for example, we're corkscrewing all of these directions, but if you look through this hole, what you see is Polaris, and you do a little time lapse and all the stars go around. How could that be? Polaris makes a tiny little circle in the sky and it stays right where it is. It hasn't moved. This has been up for 41 years. Okay. But there's the same shafts at the pyramids and other ancient sites that, we don't know how old they are, but they're older than the Georgia Guidestones, and they're not moving at all. The stars resetting into the same exact position every year proves that we're not corkscrewing through an infinite universe. It just proves it, and then the eclipses prove the Earth is flat.
The eclipses.
Think about this. An eclipse is, they tell us the sun is 400 times bigger and 400 times farther than the moon. Okay. When in reality, they're the same size. Right.
Right.
And so the chances of them lining up in this heliocentric explanation is so infinitesimally small, you can't even imagine. Okay. And not only do they line up every year in a pattern of eclipses, that pattern repeats every 18 years. Okay. Every 18 years, the whole eclipse pattern repeats. That sounds more like a fine clock, right? And the other thing is they tell us a lunar eclipse is because the Earth is putting a shadow on the moon. Well, one, there's no way an Earth can cast a shadow on something that distant. Try taking a spotlight, and a ball, and see how far you can cast that shadow. You can't, right? It's not going to go that far. And just the other day, we had a 6+ hour eclipse. Well, during that eclipse, the Earth went almost 500,000 miles. Okay, how is it staying in alignment like that? Right? The argument is everything's moving together. The Earth is going one way around the Earth, and the Earth is going the other way around the sun. Right. But in reality, no matter where you are on Earth, you watch the sun, moon, and stars rise and set. They rise in the east, they set in the west, no matter where you are. They start, oh, well, it's clockwise, counterclockwise. That's like me watching cars coming down the highway and going, well, they're going from my right to my left. And you're on the other side of the street. You go, no, they're going from the left to the right. Okay. If you're watching a racetrack, a circular track, and you're on the inside, well, you're going to see them going clockwise. And I'm going to see them going, well, is that clockwise or counterclockwise? I don't know. That's a bad example, but it's just relative to the way you look. And then the other thing is I'm showing here, this is a Seleninian eclipse where the observer sees the sun and the moon above the horizon, and the eclipse starts coming in from the top. That negates the entire heliocentric idea.
Right. Yeah, I honestly, I have no idea that how any of these heliocentric concepts even are valid in any way. I mean, right. The whole thing, that's just a joke to me. Right. I mean, I'm looking at my notes here I've taken over the years. I mean, we look, basically every ancient culture had a geocentric model, right? Right. And then the Jesuits came along and in the 1500s, and then created this new heliocentric version that now we for 500 years have just been repeating, right? And right. I mean, yeah, I'm looking at the Bible verses. What do you think of outside Antarctica? Do you think that there is outer lands like Admiral Byrd described, where there's just continents as big as the United States, or what do you think?
Well, Antarctica is clearly the shoreline of our world. Whoop, why do I have two cameras on? That is interesting. We'll just turn that one off. Hold on. Do that and that and that. There you go. See, I'm getting the hang of this. Antarctica is the shoreline of our world. What's out there? I don't know. Maybe it's bigger than all of the oceans and all of the land combined, and maybe it's all frozen, and maybe it's enclosed in a dome, or maybe it's extended and maybe there is no dome. I don't know, but if you think about it, they supposedly discovered more land bigger than the United States filled with resources back in the 50s, 60s, right. And in the 50s. And then all of a sudden they came up with the Antarctic Treaty. 12 countries signed on right away. Right. And then everyone else signed on. It doesn't make any sense.
Right. Yeah, and there's so you can't fly over there. They've named all of the places over there after, I think, like popes. So it's obviously just like a Jesuit operation.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. And I mean, we could talk, I mean, buildings showing up that, when you use a P90X, they should not be, you should not be visible. Yeah, there we go. That looks like a good. Now, have you seen Martin Kenny's he used to be Flat Earth Universe? Have you seen his presentation on the?
Yeah, absolutely. We call it the what do we call it? There was a name for it. I forget the name, but yeah, Martin Kenny. I like his stuff. Very interesting. These are all possibilities, right? Anything beyond the shoreline of Antarctica is speculation. Okay. Anything that beyond is speculation. So, as I said, maybe there's nothing out there. Okay. But we can prove that Antarctica is not a little continent at the bottom of the ball, right? We can prove that. That's easy. And then once you start looking into it, and see what's going on, you realize that there's something out there. A lot of reports of more land, and a lot of speculation. I personally believe there is more land, more continents beyond Antarctica. Maybe they have their own sun. Maybe that sun is Mars and Jupiter or Saturn.
Mars,
Like Martin was talking about. Mars is the sun in the outer
Venus.
space. So Mars and Venus. Venus is the moon. Venus has phases like our moon. When NASA says they want to go to outer space, they want to go to the outer space.
Right.
The Mars and Venus system. We're in the Apollo system, right? With our moon, and they want to go out here. And then out here might be Jupiter and Saturn. Saturn being the sun, Jupiter being the moon.
Yeah, I think that's what we're seeing is these
again, or we're just in our little bubble and that's it. And maybe there's other bubbles out there. Maybe there's not. Again, anything beyond the shoreline of Antarctica or higher than we can reach is speculation at this point.
Right. Yeah. Here's an interesting story. So, when it comes to Operation High Jump and Operation Fishbowl,
yep.
And I think there's a few other ones, but I met up with a buyer who bought some orgonite from me a few years back, and he was ex-military. He was saying that he used to be in the military, and in military circles, they know that they found the dome. And he was telling me about these, but they keep it on the hush. But they said that they did find the dome through, firing a rocket up there, and it was in Antarctica, and they could tell that as you went more inland from Antarctica, the dome rose.
Right.
And so he was saying most military are aware of this. So you have military aware of this. You have pilots admitting this after flights to me personally. So I have just personal knowledge of people who, military pilots, that's good enough for me.
Right.
So, and there's no observable curvature anywhere. And it's kind of sad that people would still think that there is. I don't know what evidence they have.
In 1959, the Encyclopedia Americana talked about a domed firmament at 13,000 feet at 85 degrees north or south. Sorry, 85 degrees south. And then that disappeared.
Right.
And I did my interview with Ruth, the 102-year-old woman who said that, she was taught flat earth in school in the 1920s. Well, guess what? They were teaching both models in the 1960s in most public schools here in the United States. In the 1950s and 60s, they were teaching flat earth and round earth. And then all of a sudden, flat earth went away like it never existed. They just wiped it. They literally Mandela affected it from us. So, they were teaching both. Then they were priming us with movies. Universal Studios in 1927 had the spinning globe, which happened to look just like the globe that NASA says, after they shot up rockets, finally. How did Universal Pictures know what the globe looked like? Okay.
Right.
And it's all nonsense. Right here, you see the moon here. That's the moon. This rocket was sent up 100 and how high did it go? Went up 62 miles or something, and then it kind of hit something, right? It seemed like it hit something, went into a thicker plasma maybe. And then all of a sudden you could see the moon. Well, this was launched out west in Arizona, and it went, and when you saw the moon was over New Zealand. Well, that makes no sense on a ball. I mean, if the Arizona was on the top of a basketball, this rocket is a millimeter, not even, over that basketball, and New Zealand's underneath the basketball. You would not be able to see the moon. But there's the moon right there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and whenever they do those high altitude balloons or whatever, there is no curvature. It's just it's totally flat, a flat horizon, and yeah. I mean.
And the Earth isn't spinning out from underneath the balloon. Balloon's up there for a couple hours. The Earth should be where it took off. It should be 1,000 miles away. The Red Bull jump. Felix went up. Where's that? My picture.
And he had a fisheye lens, right?
Well, supposedly. There we go.
Fisheye lens and CGI. These are not truth, guys.
Yeah, well, he had a fisheye lens, and he he said he saw the curvature. Well, that's a bunch of malarkey, right? If you look at the picture, this is the picture, and you map out the rest of that circle. Well, that's how big the ball is, right? And then if you really look at the picture that of him up there, all of the Earth that he's showing is New Mexico, all of it. So it's planet New Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
It makes absolutely no sense.
Yep. So we have when I was in Chichen Itza, the Mayans would put offerings on the very center of a miniature depiction of the flat Earth plane. The central point had an axis that went straight above and straight below the plane. Okay. Mm-hmm. This axis was aligned with the star that never moves, Polaris, the pole position star. And so before pre-classical Maya, they had a clear flat Earth model. And that's why they would put offerings in the middle, because that was the actual plane. And my guide was telling me that it was just basically they changed their view after the Jesuits came, essentially. It's amazing, but they knew it was flat, the pre-classical Maya.
Absolutely.
The sun doesn't set. It just moves out of our perspective, exactly like when you're standing on a train track and looking down the tracks. It appears to disappear in the distance on the horizon. The reality is our line of perspective only goes so far before objects seem to disappear or set.
Correct.
Just like a train track. Train tracks, or if you see like a chemtrail sprayer, right? And he's flying away from you. You could see the chemtrail going away from you. That chemtrail isn't going over the edge of the Earth like the sun. It's just out of your perspective. Same thing.
Exactly. And the idea of like when we can zoom in and bring boats back in, that's because we're increasing the angular size. But if something is a celestial object, the sun, moon, stars, they're going behind an atmospheric deck. So they disappear behind something opaque. And that way you can't zoom in no matter what telescope you have to bring them back into view.
No, that's a good point on the telescope, because I've heard people say, if you use a P90X and you zoom in, I've done it with my handy cam, and I've seen the stars like Jupiter and Venus and Sirius, they look like they're in water almost. They look like some sort of what's it called when you like cymatics, where it's just
right. When we look at and sometimes right. It's just because like you can zoom in on a Christmas tree light a couple blocks away and make it kind of look like some of these. But if you really look at these things, they're totally different, right? You zoom in, these have their own personality, if you will. Like the star Sirius, it kind of looks like star in a jar underwater. Or my favorite is Capella. This one has you could almost see this with your naked eye. Just a crappy pair of binoculars. You can zoom in on this and see this, and this is in focus. So these are energetic sources of light. This one also in focus. This is Arcturus.
Yep.
Yeah.
So now, but what the Globers will say is, well, what do I see when I look through a telescope? I see Saturn's rings. I see a big ball, a big globe. So
you do. I mean, so I always say, what how do you know what shape things are? Like the moon looks spherical, but only one of those is a sphere. It's not that one, right? Look at the second one. You think that one's a sphere? Looks like a sphere, right? Looks like a sphere, but it's flat. And is this one a sphere? Right? It's actually concave. right?
Ha.
So when you zoom in on, unless you can touch it,
Mm-hmm.
you can't unless you can touch it and measure it, you
Mm-hmm.
you can't tell what size it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for example, here's example. These tables, are they the same width and dimension? Are they?
They don't appear to be.
Well, watch, they're exactly the same width and dimension. And
Wow.
even though I just showed you that, you can't reconcile it in your brain. They still look different. They're the same width and length.
Wow.
And so, again, when we see things, unless you can touch them and measure them, and they tell us the sun is 93 million miles away, well,
Right.
that's nonsense, right? Unless you know the size or distance, you can't tell the other. So the sun could be 30 miles away, 300 miles away, 3 million miles away, 30 million miles away. It all depends on size, size and scaling.
And the crepuscular rays that come through the clouds, they clearly show that the sun is local, because
Right.
it would have to be in order to get that angle down. And then if you ever are on water, you'll notice the reflection of the sun kind of follows the water, follows you. And didn't to me, that also indicates it's very local. But didn't NASA also admit that the moon was in our atmosphere?
Yeah, they recently
Exactly, right there.
They recently did that. Yeah, so those are crepuscular rays.
Yep.
And Aristophanes, with his experiment, he assumed the rays are coming in parallel. Well, why would anyone ever think that the rays are coming in parallel when no one's ever seen parallel rays? I mean, here's what we see, but he's like, oh no, the sun is so far away, we see parallel rays. So he had no shadow, on his ball. And his buddy 500 miles away got a shadow length and an angle. So they did some perfectly good math to figure out the size of the ball. And Carl Sagan convinced us that he got it within 2%. Amazing, right? But on a flat Earth with a small local sun, no shadow length, same math proves that this is a sphere. Well, we don't live on a math equation with false assumptions. We live on a world where you can actually measure and test things.
Right. And water always finds its level. That's why we use it for a level. I have yet to see any evidence that the oceans can bend.
Correct. Well, you can have they'll say, what about a raindrop? What about a wave? There's your bendy water. Large bodies of water at rest lay flat. Now, would you say that the oceans are 70% water? Would you say that the oceans are carbonated like a fizzy drink?
No.
All right. Well, so essentially you're saying they're flat.
Correct.
That's really bad, right?
Yeah, but right. I've large bodies of water always. I mean, you see a waterfall.
Don't shoot me for that joke, people. Don't shoot me. It was just a joke.
Yeah, that was good. But you'll see a waterfall maybe bending, but when it comes to rest,
large bodies of water at rest lay flat. Anything bigger than a bucket of water lays flat, right?
Right.
The edge of the bucket, the water might climb the edge a little bit. That's just the meniscus, but the surface of the water lays flat, and it's only a tiny little meniscus, right? I look at Antarctica as the meniscus of our world pond.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah.
So if they admitted that the moon is in our atmosphere, that would mean that we actually never went to space, correct? And
I mean, they're saying that the air is it's thinner and thinner and thinner, and it's just, the globers will say, oh, the molecules are just so small out there, but they're considering that atmosphere. They're just doing that to confuse people, to get people to argue, when in fact we know that everything that we see in the sky is here within the Earth system. Okay. And people go, well, Antarctica, where's the edge? Well, here's the edge right here. It's right there. You can see it. There's a million pictures of it. There's a bunch of videos, but no one's allowed to go there. So, there you go. People are waking up. This cat isn't going back into the bag. The genie's out of the bottle, whatever you want to call it. and people are waking up faster and faster. So that's why I'm doing this. That's why I'm reaching out, to shows that don't think the Earth is flat, because once their audience sees it, they become obsessed with it, like we all have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and for me, it's also very spiritual, because if they can convince us that, again, we are just a result of the Big Bang and we're evolved from monkeys, we're flying through space, hurtling through space, it takes out the equation, the creator from the equation.
Right.
And if the geocentric reality was really true, then man, that was built for us. Everything revolves around us. This place was built for. So we're pretty damn special, and we're not just accidents.
100%.
And do you notice in how many space movies there are? Like, they're always just like conveniently, like right above the Earth, where you can see a little globe circle, and
they can't get their angles right. When we look at SpaceX and NASA, we look at the different heights. The curves are always wrong. They're always wrong. Like I showed you with the space jump a moment ago. And just the other day when they put Shatner into space, a total mockery. I don't even think he even went up in any type of airplane and landed. It was all done in a studio. I don't even think he was on a zero-G plane where they filmed most of that weightlessness stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they kind of mock us in the movies too.
Yeah,
with the Paramount and Disney movies, you see the stars coming down and forming the dome, and fireworks over the castle forming a dome.
Right.
This place is run by signs and symbols, and they're just putting it out there.
100%. They do that. They've hijacked the power of signs and symbols, so they know what these signs and symbols mean. So they know that whatever sixes mean or whatever, and they're using that energy for evil, when in fact they're not evil inherently. The signs aren't actually evil. These rulers know that signs and symbols rule the world, and they're using this witchcraft, this wizardry, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So.
Right. Yeah. And it's all just it's subliminal programming. It's psychological. It's like psychological warfare, in my opinion. It's spiritual warfare.
Right.
And let's see, a gyroscope only works on a flat Earth, right?
Well, correct. Yes. Now they'll say that the gyro can't measure the Earth to the spin, and and then they'll say that it does measure it. Then they'll say, oh, the ring laser gyro, in that movie proved that the Earth is spinning. Well, no, the ring laser gyro proved that something was spinning, and then when we did a second test at a different altitude, it proved that it wasn't the Earth because it spun at a different rate. If the Earth is spinning, doesn't matter where you are, on the top of a mountain or the bottom of the ocean, it should go 15 degrees per hour, but it didn't, which proves that the ether is spinning.
Yeah. So let's see. Everything's fisheye, lens, CGI, the perspective. Sky is a giant clock.
Yeah, the sky is a clock.
Mm-hmm. And
do you have are you using the app to find other flat earthers near you?
No, I haven't really. I've been listening to a little bit of Eric Dubay, but I haven't really. Yeah, there you go, right there.
This is the Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac clock app, and because of the Google censorship, like if you Google flat Earth, you're not going to find anything. Just search flat Earth curvature, flat Earth boats over the horizon, flat Earth proofs, flat Earth debunks. Whatever you search, if it says flat Earth in it, you get the same results, and you get Simon Dan and Professor Dave. These are just actors. These are snarky actors put out there to capture weak minds. So what the app does is it shows you, it bypasses that. Like every day, right here, there's in the bottom corner here, there's a featured video of the day. And I tell people, just watch a featured video each day. If you think flat Earth is stupid, watch it every day for 2 weeks. And at the end of that 2 weeks, if you think the Earth is a globe, then you win 3 Bitcoins if you can prove it. But when you prove it, you have to hit the question mark, and up come all the questions that you're going to ask. Hey, what about eclipses? What about seasons? What about ships over the horizons? Like if I click ships over the horizon, up comes a playlist that Google won't serve you. You want to learn why ships go over the horizon? These videos will teach you.
Okay, now what is this app again?
It's called the Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. Right? And right here, I'll just show you a transition. Oops.
Flat Earth, Zodiac.
The Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. Why can't I get rid of that? You are.
Okay.
There we go.
So that's something I could refer to people. Okay, there we go.
All right.
There we go.
Yeah. So there you go, and you get an email with an actual link to it. But you have to make sure it's by Bluewater Bay, because there's already a knockoff on in Antarctic, a knockoff in where is it? In the Google Play Store. There you go. I don't have my image in here, so I have to add. Hold on, I'm learning. I just started using OBS, and it should put me in here. There I am. 1 second. And so the app is, just go read the reviews. I tell people, read the reviews on the app, and it will show you amazing things. So,
all right, I'll definitely refer people to that. Let's see. There's also, trying to think of other points I would make to people if I was.
But one other thing while we're in the app.
Yeah.
Tons of resources, books. If you want to find books on it, there's literally a lifetime of research in there. The app's $3. There is a subscription that you don't have to do unless you want to message other flat earthers. What I mean by that is you click the handshake button, up comes a map, and it shows you all of the other flat earthers around you. These are the people that have the app. If I tap on a dot, up comes a name, and I could send that person a text message. Or I have my radius set for 50 kilometers. So in that 50 kilometers, there's 234 people. I can click that, and I could send them all a message. Hey, Flat Earth meetup at Joe's Bar and Grill Saturday, 4 p.m. And then we overwhelm them with flat earthers, and anybody that by chance went there for lunch ends up going home a flat earther.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
That's great. Yeah, I love it. So there's also another, could you talk about the direct flight, when there's flights from like Australia to South America, or South America to Europe, right? There's certain routes they would take that only make sense on a flat Earth model or map, right?
Correct. So when you look at a flight from, the flights, the non-direct flights from Santiago to Australia, on the top right there, they go all the way up to the United States and all the way across and all the way down. But when you look at that on flat Earth, it's kind of a straight line, right? So the reason that they go that way is because the Earth is not set up the way that they tell us. If we look here, we got Los Angeles to Perth, but this is the way they tell you it goes. But in reality, it's going all along here. They go, oh, no, that's the Great Circle route. No, not the Great Circle route. Get a globe ball, and pull a string from one point to the other. That's your shortest route. That's your Great Circle route, right? So when you look at, sometimes, NASA's in charge of all radar and GPS and flight routes. But sometimes there's an emergency and a plane has to land, and it lands in a funky position. Like this was an emergency between Hawaii and New York, and it landed in Seattle. And that's because Seattle is right along the route there. Okay. Mm-hmm. Same thing again. This flight landed in Moscow. Again, Moscow is right on that flight there. One of my favorites is the Taiwan to Los Angeles. It could have stopped in Hawaii because the emergency happened right near Hawaii. But if you look, and it landed in Alaska, which is way up at the top there.
Yeah.
But Alaska is right here. Hawaii is all the way out here. Okay.
Yeah. Right. How do they explain that? How do
they don't. They ignore it. And think about this. If you're on a ball, if the top half is the north, the bottom half is the south. If you're going to any two locations that are south of the equator, the origin to destination, you would never cross the equator. You would just cut across the ball at one point. Never. But many, many times on these flights, they go ridiculous, from Santiago to Johannesburg. They go all the way up to Seagal. Okay. Well, this is where Seagal is. It's a straight line. And why are they crossing the equator if the Earth is a ball, right? They shouldn't do that. Here's another one. They stop in Amsterdam. It makes no sense on a ball. Right? Mm-hmm. And these are real flight routes. Why didn't they just go straight to Mexico City? Plenty of people in Auckland want to go see the pyramids in Mexico City, but they stop in these weird places. Again, here, why are they going all the way across the inner north when they could just cut across the bottom of the ball?
Wait, keep this one up. Let me digest this here real quick. Okay, so if we're leaving from, where are we going? From where to where?
From here? Perth. It goes over to Sydney. It goes up to Los Angeles and down to Montevideo.
So there's flights that go from Perth to Sydney to Los Angeles to Montevideo.
Right.
Okay, so
why didn't it just cut across the bottom of the ball there from Perth right across the bottom? Yeah, which is shorter. Is shorter, right? And then they'll go, well, the people, the airlines are to make money and they got to go pick up other passengers. Bullshit. Okay, bullshit. There's plenty of people that want a direct flight. Again,
so then Perth to Los Angeles.
Yeah, here's Auckland to Lima, Peru. Why is it going to Los Angeles? Look at it on a flat Earth map. They got to stop for fuel in Los Angeles. That's why.
Why don't they go from Auckland right to Peru? It seems like it's a straight line distance.
Right. It looks like it's not much different than
right.
On the globe, it's not much different. On the globe, you're going from Auckland to Los Angeles is pretty much the same as Auckland to Peru, but that's not the case at all.
Yeah, so it all lines up, and that flat Earth map is what the United Nations. It's the United Nations logo, right? Split into 33 degrees.
Correct.
And the UN, WHO.
Right. Here's the UN map.
There we go. They're just mocking us, and
right.
Signs and symbols.
Right. These are the four agencies that run the world. Okay. And why are they all using a flat Earth map? Right. What's up with that?
Why? Have they ever explained why they use those maps?
No, they don't.
Okay. That's strange.
Yeah. Don't you think?
Yeah. And then you have the fasces around there. I think that's symbolic of what the Romans, the Vatican is in control or something like that. The fasces,
right? There's so much symbolism in the maps. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's almost just like
somebody sent me this. I haven't confirmed. They say that this is on the wall in the United Nations. I haven't confirmed that yet. It more looks like a flat earthers high school project to me, but and it's a clock. And it's showing, maybe that's the Iron Republic out there that's on the top right. Who knows? But it's very interesting. I'll say that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
and people say you just took the globe and stretched it out, and that's why Australia looks the wrong size. We don't know the size of Australia. There's so many problems with that. Our map is so much more accurate than their map. But in reality, they took our map and wrapped it around the sphere, right? There's the flat Earth map, and they're wrapping it around a sphere, bringing the ice wall all together. That's why you can't find any satellite pictures of Antarctica. You get a couple pictures of stuff along the edge, but you will not get any pictures of internal Antarctica because there is no South Pole.
Wow, there we go. That's a real good visual right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the direct flights it makes when you're able to see it like this. And people have made treks through Antarctica, right? And
Nobody has. It's all a lie. It's
they've
all,
tried or something. Okay.
yes. So, when they have a couple of people like Colin O'Brady again in the app under What About Antarctica. It has all of the people that did these supposed Antarctic journeys, and it exposes them because we use their data to show where they actually went, right? And they didn't go anywhere where they said, like if we're looking here, Colin went from like over right where Santiago meets that peninsula, and then kind of like went over here, maybe there, and then he turned around and came back. He didn't go across. Okay, it's absolute insane. Nobody has crossed Antarctica. There was a where is it? Circumnavigation.
Well, it's all military presence, right? They won't let you.
Well, that's what they say.
Okay.
They also say, that we can't upset the penguins, right? So no one has ever circumnavigated south. Billions of people have done it east and west because east and west are circles around a flat Earth. So if you look at this is a compass. If I'm trying to push it west, well, that needle always has to point towards the center where that magnet is. That's the North Pole. So west is a circle, right? West is a circle around the center. You understand?
Yeah.
So west is a circle. East is a circle also.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't point east. You can't point west, right? Because as soon as you start moving, you're moving south, right? That sounds crazy, but that's true on a ball Earth and a flat Earth. Right now, I'm going to try to dead reckon west. And as soon as I start moving, I'm moving south. The compass just turned. It should turn a little bit more, but it's not strong enough. And I'm heading south. South is every direction away from the center.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. On a ball, if I went south, I should pop up over on the other side. I should pop up in Australia as I go over there. Or if I go, out to the left here off of Johannesburg, I should pop up over in the middle of the ocean on the other side of the ball. But nobody's ever done it because it can't be done because the Earth is flat. Right?
Yeah.
This is a ZQ pilot. He went from the North Pole, down to Alaska, California, Hawaii, out down to those islands, then up around Santiago, then went down to the South Pole, but then he turned around because the weather was too bad, right? He went to the South Pole, supposedly, said the weather's too bad, and he turned around and went up to Brazil and up and around. And we're like, oh, there goes. He's not, he was going for the world record of southern circumnavigation. And we're like, oh, there goes that. And they gave it to him. They gave him the circumnavigation, first person to ever do it for doing that. And that's got to tell you something right there, because all he really did is he went around the pond, right? He just basically did this little track, right? He didn't go down and pop up on the other side, right? He just kind of went down, touched the goalpost, whatever, said, I'm here, and then he turned around and went back. He just circled around that area.
Everything makes sense on a flat Earth map. Nothing makes sense on a globe map.
Right. And people go, what about Amelia Earhart? Right. Well, here's Amelia Earhart. She just went around east or west, stopped at all those locations, and she's following her compass. Essentially, she's going east or west the whole time, little deviations. And she thinks she went around a ball that's spinning in a space vacuum. That's insanity.
It's interesting when you think of east and west just being circles. If you're facing the north,
right? If you're on a ball, let's say the pretend the Earth is a ball. Don't get nervous, right? Because being on a ball, we'd all be dead. But if you're 1 mile from the North Pole, right? So we all know the compasses point to the North Pole. So you're 1 mile from the North Pole, and you're holding a compass, it's pointing, to the North Pole. My right arm is pointing to the north. Well, I want to go forward, which would be west. And I have to keep turning to make sure I'm pointing at that North Pole. 3.14 miles later, if you remember your math, you're back to where you started from. Well, you just walked around the North Pole. Imagine it being like a telephone pole, a magnetic pole, right? You just walked around it equidistant from it. All circles, east and west, are equidistant from the North Pole all the way around. The North Pole is always in the center. That works on a flat Earth map, and it works on a globe map. The problem is, if you go south of the equator, you'd have to turn to the left instead of to the right when you're heading west, right? Because in the north, you have to correct to the north. In the south, you'd have to correct to the south. But there's ships captains that talked about trying to dead reckon in the Indian Ocean, 90 degrees or 270, and they say they always have to correct to the north, right? And then their lieutenant, their captain tells them, "Oh, just don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's fine." Crazy, right?
So what do you think is the main reason why they would hide this from us?
The main reason that they're hiding it from us is because they don't want us to know the true power of who we are. They don't want us to know where we are. So they're hiding it for many reasons. Because one, if we know that there's more resources, that there's more land, that we're at the center of creation, we might stop listening to governments, right? We know that they're hiding free energy. They're hiding the creator. They're hiding your spirituality. They're hiding more land, hiding more resources, information about Antarctica. They're hiding that we're at the center of the universe and that we are special. I didn't get into this to feel special, because they'll use that all the time. Oh, you guys just want to feel special, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, I didn't get into this for that. I got into this because it's the truth. And, the world is a really screwed up place right now. And if people don't wake up, they're gonna, we're gonna go into a long, hundreds of years, if not thousands, of slavery, and we're literally on the edge of that. And people say, "Well, who are they? Who are they?" Right? Well, these are the royal families. These are the Bilderbergs. These are these are the people that run the world. People have no idea what's going on at these meetings and these families, and they communicate through signs and symbols in the news. You can decode it if you want. They always tell us what they're doing.
Yep.
That is one of the things that they do, and that gives us a fighting chance. But if we're too stupid to say no, like everyone that's doing the jibby jabby is doing it by their own choice, because they're being coerced.
Yeah.
But they're still making their choice, because no one's being forced yet. We'll see. It looks like they keep threatening that they're gonna be forcing it. But I don't know if they're ever going to actually do that. They just want to get as many people,
consent.
Right.
Yeah, it's about consent. And if they put it out there and we don't disagree, then we're agreeing to what they're putting out. Essentially, that's how they see it. I think there's some sort of spiritual laws that says that you have to gain consent and agreement once you put something out. It's all just like contract offers, and they're saying, "Hey, we want you to believe this. You don't have to, but we want you to." And most people just buy it up.
100%.
Propaganda. And then, signs and symbols. Yeah, right. The Council of 300, it's just bloodlines, families that don't want to give up their grip on the earth.
Right.
And the people. It's just slavery. The Vatican has claimed to own all souls on the earth and all land. The Vatican made that claim.
Yeah. So I gotta wrap it up. I got another interview I gotta take care of. But if you're anyone listening to this that's new to this, get the app. It's $3. You're buying me not even a full beer. And don't subscribe. Just watch the daily video. Check out the frequently asked questions. Check out the other resources on there. Read the reviews. Don't even buy the app. Just go read the reviews. And you'll see that it's one of the highest rated apps in the App Store, the Google Play Store, and soon the Android App Store. And if you have a podcast or you know of a show that has an audience that wants to, that needs to talk about this, especially if they're not flat earthers, if they think flat earth is the dumbest thing ever, help get me on there. Send me a link. You can send it. You can You can book me at flatearthdave.com. Flatearthdave.com. Book Dave. Bam. We'll start a dialogue and just put in the information and we'll get something going.
Yeah. Have you ever had a good debate with someone who was able to like prove you wrong in any way?
Yeah, so we just did Jaron from Jaronism and I just went on a show with a theoretical physicist, another theoretical physicist host, fanboy, and an F-16 pilot, and we absolutely destroyed them. That video is coming out soon. In the app, under the web button, there's Flat Earth Dave interviews. It'll be on that hopefully within a week from this recording. But we went for 3 hours. We destroyed theoretical physics because we don't live on a theoretical flat Earth. We live on a scientifically provable flat Earth, right? And the whole spinning ball, there's nothing about it that works. There's no proof. That's why I'm offering 3 Bitcoins for 1 proof of the globe, just 1. And so far, no one has even come close to coming up with anything credible.
I've heard every excuse over the years that we do have pictures of it. We have pictures of the Earth bending, curving at high altitude.
NASA even admits we don't have any photos of Earth. You know, recently they tried to show us, in 2017, they said climate change. The Earth isn't as bright as it used to be, but they forgot to change the clouds. The clouds are the same. Okay. From 1978 to 2017, the clouds are the same.
Are they?
Look at them. Look at this cloud right here. Boom. It's right over there. I can't reach over.
Oh yeah. It's the same pattern.
It's the same clouds. They're literally lazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can't believe it. I can't believe they could be so sloppy.
Oh, I think they do it on purpose. Either I go back and forth between they're really that stupid, or they're just doing it on purpose just to give us a fighting chance. I mean,
but then you have the space station videos of them, what they have, like obviously cords, and then they hide them real quick, and they're obviously in water.
Well, not always. When they're outside, sometimes they're in water. Sometimes they're hanging from a thing called the Argos wire system. It's absolute insanity. And they use green screens all the time. I mean, it's unbelievable. And we'll talk about that another time. I talk about the green screens, the screw ups they have all the time.
What are we looking at?
We're looking at here. These guys are in separate rooms, and the guy holding the microphone is sticking it right into his neck. Okay, why is that so big?
Oh, because so he's. Oh wow.
Yeah, he's sticking it right into his neck.
It's disappearing.
It's inside of his neck. Crazy, right?
Whoa, yeah.
Look, it's in his neck. That's because they're not even in the same room, right? These guys are this is done on Earth. Sometimes they do stuff on planes, on 0G planes, but this is done on a 0G plane, but they're fading him in. See his head? It was just transparent.
Let me see. Oh, they're fading him in.
Yeah, and then when they're floating, they're playing with things. They just gotten like a fresh shipment of fruit, and they got some lemons. That lemon isn't real. It's a CGI augmented reality.
Oh, wow.
And his hand goes right through it.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
They're sloppy, or they just
don't care anymore, right?
Yeah.
And then this Don Pettit, the one astronaut that might think he's actually in space because he's completely retarded. He's showing how he made coffee in a little plastic cup, but then the coffee gets out of sync with the cup. You see that? The coffee became out of sync because it's all computer graphics.
Oh wow, the color changed.
Yeah. It became out of sync. Something went wrong, and the color of the coffee got removed. Now, maybe the coffee was CGI and the cup was real, and they're on a 0G plane. He's moving around, and they had to CGI the coffee in. But again, did they do this on purpose, or did they not do it on purpose?
I don't know, but you don't have to be too intelligent to put all this together. I mean,
right. And you watch this guy float by. He was way in the background to make what these guys in the foreground were doing. But I zoomed in, you can see he's hanging from a harness. And that's the fanboys that we're like, oh, that's because it's for safety. You know, like, how do you hang from a harness in a zero-G plane? Okay. Safety, my ass. Okay. This is all done in a studio. And they're playing with augmented reality objects. They're always flipping their microphone around, right? This guy in the blue, which you'll see in a second, he's got a hat and he's flipping the hat around. And he's supposed to pass that. The script goes that he's supposed to pass the hat to the guy in the green, right? So he moves his hand, and the guy thinks he's passing the hat. Boom, there's the hat, and he takes it and he puts it away, and he missed it, right? And then he was just about to pass the hat, and the guy's like, "Oops!" Right? I got it looped here. So again, they're watching on either contact lenses that have screens on them, or watching a screen behind the camera. You know.
It's all set.
It's all nonsense.
Oh my God. I feel dumber for having watched this. I mean,
yeah, I haven't believed it. And look, the ball is filled with helium, but look right here. Oh, now there's a stuffed animal there. It's not a real object. Okay. It's called augmented reality, and they're manipulating computer graphics in real time. So, you know, this is almost consumer level stuff that you can do yourself. Goes on and on and on.
It's sickening.
Right.
Some sick people.
And then, you know, when they say they're on the space station, look, I'm on the space station. It's that easy. Okay? It's that friggin' easy. All right. Anything else? FlatEarthDave.com. Check it out. Get the app. Check out the app. Find flat earthers near you. Message them. They'll become your new best friends immediately. It's better than any dating or friend-making site ever, because every blue dot on there is the most awesome person that exists.
Perfect.
All right, man. Thanks.
Sounds good, Dave. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Okay.
You all love the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. The best tool to show your friends and strangers how the Flat Earth actually works. But are you ready for a Flat Earth app game changer? A new feature has been added. But first, a reminder of some of the existing features. Video of the day. World time. See what time it is all around the flat Earth. A true Earth compass that shows true navigation across and around the flat Earth plane. Weather. Tap for detailed local weather information. Know what phase and where the moon is at all times. Watch the sun travel between the tropics for the seasons. Select an amazing background. Add a countdown to your next big date. Video playlists in different languages. See the real trade winds circling the flat Earth. Top 21 frequently asked questions with quick pop-up video answers. Access to the best photos and GIFs at your fingertips. Flat Earth books and merchandise, and more. Now, the game-changer upgrade we've always dreamed of having. After a year in development, our app just went next level. You're now able to find Flat Earth app users near you. See where they are and send them an instant message in the app. Instantly arrange for a Flat Earther meetup. When activated, blue dots mark the location of the app users near you. You have 3 choices on showing your location. PP, to pinpoint. This marks your exact location. CC, for city center, which will place you within a few miles of your current location. Or turn off, which removes you from the map altogether. Use it when traveling, or when you're out for a day at the beach, or while eating out somewhere. Find out where other Flat Earthers are and connect. Find like-minded Flat Earth app users and regain your sanity. The Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app is the best tool to show your friends and strangers how our flat Earth actually works.